In today's video, I'm going to share with you guys 5 reasons why the Fujifilm 23mm 1.4 is my top Fujifilm prime lens for wedding photography. What's up guys, Reggie B Photo here and welcome back to the channel. So for those of you who are new, my name is Reggie Ballesteros and I'm a wedding photographer based in the San Francisco Bay Area. So if I was ever put up to a challenge to shoot a whole wedding with just one prime lens, it would be this one, the 23mm 1.4 by Fujifilm. And similar to my other reviews, I'm going to skip the technical specifications, the bokeh comparisons, the sharpness test, and all that like brick wall distortion test stuff. And instead, I'm going to share with you guys 5 reasons why this lens is my top lens for wedding photography. So my first reason is pretty straightforward, and it's that the 23mm 1.4 is legitimately and statistically my top performing lens. So what I mean by this is in Lightroom, when I compile all the delivered photos that I gave to clients last year, the 23mm 1.4 came on top as far as delivered photos, and this is above the 56mm 1.2, the 16mm 1.4, the 35mm 1.4, and the 90mm f2. And yes, this is skewed by my own photography style, which kind of skews more toward the wide angle field of view, but you have to admit that compared to those other fantastic lenses, the 23mm 1.4 coming out on top as far as delivered images does speak volumes about how good and how much it delivers in the professional setting. So my next reason is about the optics. It is a solid optical performer all around. It has that large 1.4 aperture to give you that low light gathering capability as well as shallow depth of field, and it's pretty sharp wide open at 1.4. And one reason why I like the 23mm 1.4 over its f2 equivalent is because it is very sharp at its minimum focus distance. And it can actually get pretty close too, but it's not going to get you as close as the 16mm 1.4, which is pretty much a pseudo macro lens. The next reason is because the 23mm 1.4 has the faster, if not maybe the fastest autofocus speed out of the large aperture prime Fujifilm lenses. So for this, I'm referring to anything that's 1.4 or 1.2 in aperture. It definitely focuses faster than the 35mm 1.4, and it absolutely focuses faster than the 56mm 1.2. And as far as like it going against the 16mm 1.4, I just feel that the 23 is a little bit faster than the 16. It's probably because the 23mm 1.4 is overall a lighter lens, so there's less optical elements to be pushed around by the motors. So my next reason why the 23 is my top lens for wedding photography is because it is the ideal wide angle lens for portrait photography. And like I mentioned before, I skew toward the wide angle field of view when I'm doing my portraiture, and the 23 really strikes the perfect balance between the wide field of view to do environmental portraiture with not having as extreme distortion as other wide angle lenses such as the 16mm 1.4. Because of the more mild wide-angle distortion, it's easier to use for portraits, and it's also the perfect complement to the 56mm 1.2 when using a 2-body camera system. So my last reason, and probably the most important reason, is because I personally think that the 23mm 1.4 is the ultimate storytelling lens on the Fujifilm system. So the 23mm in crop, or the 35mm focal length in its full frame equivalent, is unanimously agreed upon as probably the best focal length for telling stories. It has the perfect field of view to be able to capture the context as well as the subject. It also allows you to pull back and capture an entire scene, or it lets you to get in real close and kind of get the intimate exchanges between 2 individuals or 3 individuals. Basically, as opposed to a telephoto lens, which is good at isolating one person, maybe one person that's laughing or crying, the 23mm lens is going to be able to allow you to show that person crying as well as the person that they're crying about or with or anything like that. Or if they're laughing, you know, the person that's telling the joke or the funny story. It's great for documentary work, it's great for candids, and that's why it works really well for wedding photography. And it's the reason why that if I had to pick one lens to shoot an entire wedding, I would use the 23mm 1.4 because I can tell the entire story, and like my previous reasons, I can shoot in low light, I can do portraits with it, and it's just really the entire overall package. So that kind of wraps up the 5 reasons why the 23mm 1.4 is my top Fujifilm lens for wedding photography. If you have any different reasons than me, leave them down in the comments below and let's talk about it. If you're looking to add this lens to your wedding photography arsenal, I assure you, you cannot go wrong with it. So if you're itching to buy it, I have links down in the description below for you to purchase the lens at no additional cost to you, but it does support the channel. As always, please be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I make a new Fujifilm or photography video every week, and if that's too long for you, please follow me on Instagram at ReggieBPhoto, as I'm always dropping new tutorials, photo deconstructions, and more insight into my editing workflow throughout the week. Alright, that's it for me. Remember to get out, go shoot, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.